Welcome to another segment of ACRP TV. Today, our spotlight is on ACRP's Diversity Advisory Council. It's a project we're all very excited about. We've been doing a series where we're speaking to various members of the DAC and thought leaders out there in the field. And no exception today, we've got Cassie Brisbane, who's a CCRP at Luminis Health. Cassie, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Michael. I appreciate it.
So one of my favorite things about this series and talking to folks is asking how they got into clinical research. And as you know, probably better than I do, there are not clear career paths in this field. It's a bit Wild West out there. And I feel like for every 50 people I ask how they got into clinical research, I hear 48, 49, or 50 different kinds of stories. So I'd love to hear how you found out about this field and got into it.
Okay, I'm glad you asked me that. I had never heard about clinical research before. I was working as an ophthalmic technician for a prominent doctor in the area where I am now. And he was approached by a company to do clinical research. He had never done it before, never had anything set up at the office to be able to handle something like that. So his mind, since I was his lead and we worked together daily, just really cohesively a lot, he said, I think that Cassie may be a good fit to help me do this research project. So when he came to me with it, I'm like, I don't know what it is. I don't know what to do. He said, don't worry about it. I think you'll be great at it. Once we got started, it was looking at a device to help patients lower eye pressure in the eye. We have some problems with patients coming in being compliant with drops. They're putting them somewhere else, or they forget to put them in, and then they're coming in, and we're seeing increases in disease, increase in optic nerve damage. And the device that they were trying to perfect with the company was going to help them lower that without having to remember to put an eye drop in. So it got to be really interesting for me. And then once we started, I was like, this is amazing to be something that can help, not only help someone see and keep their sight and not continue to lose it, but also to be on the cutting edge of something that's going to be new for everybody down the line. You know, same way you take a Tylenol, it had to go through this, but you can go get it. I'm like, this is kind of great to be on the bottom floor of something that's going to be great. And it has been great.
So talk about, obviously you've been in the field for a while. You've enjoyed this field. Talk about why you've stayed in it for so long. I mean, talk about, it's got to be rewarding, right?
It's very rewarding. The main thing for me is to see the patient's trust in you. So they're coming in, they're scared. There's some things that are new. Nobody wants to be a guinea pig, so they say. But then when they talk to you and you talk to them about what you're doing, what you're looking at, what's going to be down the pike, and why you're excited about it, and what you see coming in and how it benefits them, they become a little bit more trusting to be a part of the next generation of drugs or devices or something like that that's going to bring a full circle for, I would say, everybody.
Okay, now let's talk about people who maybe are watching this video. They're kind of curious about clinical trials. It's been obviously in the news a lot with COVID, the past year or so. Clinical trials have been on the front page for almost all positive, which is really nice and getting a lot of attention, deservedly so. So I wonder, I think a lot of people out there are kind of thinking about this as a career. They're learning about it. So to someone who's either new in the workforce or thinking about a career change, what would you say to somebody considering clinical trials as a professional career?
I would say go for it. I mean, it's very rewarding. Not only are you exposed to the science before everyone else knows what's happening, you're able to help, not just in the pandemic society, but in research with medicines that are going to prolong life for cancer, in different medicines that are actually help with antibiotics, things like that. Also devices that will help patients, heart devices, eye devices, which is what I know the most about. It's just a good place to be, to me, to be able to be a part of tomorrow's technology today.
So last question, you're part of ACRP's Diversity Advisory Council. It's a fairly new concern. It's been going, I think, about 6 months now. I know you all had some calls, some meetings, you've got some things on the drawing board, but if you could talk a little bit about what the DAC is all about. Why is it so important right now?
I think it's really important right now is because I'm used to going into a lot of meetings where I don't see a lot of people that look like me. And again, with the way that the doctor that I work with that approached me about this, I had no idea about what clinical research was. I think it's important if we get students when they're in college or even some in high school levels or even junior high, if they know that this is a viable option for them, then maybe they can kind of direct their path to be our next professionals in clinical research, and help also when you're developing different things, be it medicines or devices. It's better, I think, for them to work well if they're including everybody in that process of development. And sometimes when, especially in the African American community, sometimes patients may not want to participate because they don't see anyone like them bringing them the information to them. So the more that they're comfortable with who's bringing it, you're passionate about it, you know what's going on, I think the more comfortable they'll be with participating, and then that helps everybody, I think, overall.
Very exciting, very exciting. This has been our ACRP TV Spotlight on ACRP's Diversity Advisory Council. We've been speaking with Cassie Brisbane, who is the CCRP at Luminis Health. Cassie, thank you again so much for joining us today.
Thanks so much.